Who's in the room tonight?
We got a case.
Welcome to Love on Trial, where
excuses get cross-examined,
red flags get internet evidence,
and toxic love gets a life sentence. I'm the Recoverist, and welcome to Love on Trial. And tonight, we are doing Real Talk with the Recoverist Part 2. And we got so carried away last time. We got another hot one for you tonight. And listen, you guys went nuts in the comments, so I'm expecting more of the same tonight. Definitely, if we miss a point, some of you guys brought up some really great points that we missed. So make sure to put your comments and your verdicts in the comments as well. So I've got my love litigators, Jay and Chanel. And tonight's question, oh my God, I don't even know if I'm ready, because I don't think y'all gonna be ready for the recoveries tonight. But the question tonight is marriage still necessary in 2026? So what are your thoughts?
You want to go first?
you can start.
Court is now in session.
I would say, is marriage still necessary in 2026? I would say you have to first, for yourself, determine what marriage means for you. But I would say 100% yes. Yes. It is necessary. Now, it depends on what you're trying to do. So if you just are okay with not being married, then that's fine. We live in a world now where it's becoming more and more socially acceptable to be together long term and not be married. That's trending towards the norm. But I don't think that in any way means marriage is no longer necessary, in my opinion. What do you think?
I would agree. I think marriage is necessary. I think today's popular opinion is that it's not. And I think that's unfortunate, because it can lead to a lot of other social issues that I don't think people are fully understanding of, or think that, or they know the consequences of. And so now I think today's I don't say today's generation, I sound like I'm an old person, but on social media, the conversations that I see happening on social media is that
Why do you think marriage is necessary?
Well, because it forms
I was going to ask that,
a foundation. I think that it's not impossible, but it's more difficult to go far in life, to try to be successful if you're trying to do it alone.
What?
I think that you can do things alone, but I would feel more empowered if I have my husband next to me doing it, or supporting me, versus some guy that I'm talking to at the time.
I like to say this: be not intoxicated, be not deceived by the intoxication of chaos, for it's ephemeral. All things lasting abide by systems and structure. And what that means is, marriage is a system and a structure. Now, there are different types of marriages. All marriages are not the same. All marriages are not equal. There are different structures and way to structure marriage, because there's more than one way to skin a cat. But marriage in and of itself is a system and a structure, whatever you decide for that to look like. When you're absent that, it's chaos. And when you're in chaos, even chaos, the most dangerous chaos is chaos that appears to be structure, because at any moment it's going to show you that it's not.
Okay. So, all right. So here's where it's going to get spicy and a little bit dicey, because I heard you said marriage is a what?
System and a structure.
It's a system and a structure. I say that marriage is a construct. And by that, I mean, it's an idea that has been socialized and we have been made to think that marriage is necessary as a natural process in society. And I disagree. I think marriage is absolutely not necessary. I think marriage is great. Like I'm not against marriage in any way. I think marriage is great for those who If you can find a partner who feels the same way that you do, in the way that we experience marriage today, because marriage, the whole social aspect of marriage, the way it looks in this century, in the 21st century, is so far from what the origins of marriage is supposed to be, that it's like it's a new, totally different thing. That's why I say it's a construct. To be in love and have to love somebody, and he's my heart and he's my other half and all that kind of stuff, those romanticized ideas are so unrealistic in so many ways, that's why so many relationships fail and why we have so many. But the original marriage, in the original way it was intended, those marriages lasted forever. Nobody getting divorced was like wrong. Like, you didn't want to be a divorced person, because the idea of marriage was contractual. It was to bring families together, to bring clans together, to have people to work your land. So you found a woman to give you some kids to help you tend the land and the chickens and the stuff, and or the kings married the other kings' children in order to keep the wealth and the money. So there was always some intention behind marriage historically that had nothing to do with this fantasized idea of love and romance. And that's why I think it's failing. I feel like we have outpaced ourselves because we didn't grow that contract piece of it to
let me
support.
cut in here.
Oh, go ahead.
I think you're conflating too many things, because a marriage has changed from its origin. And like I said, there's different ways to be married, and there's different types of marriages. Marriage has 100% gotten away from its original, its original. No, not as original. I think the intention is still the same, but the original trappings that it was in has certainly changed. I would say that people,
how so? Because you didn't even have to see somebody to be
let me explain.
Let
me walk it down. So people create marriages, people form marriages, marriages create families, families form communities, and communities build societies. What we used to have is a stronger social contract that existed and was enforced by the society at large. As that social contract has now degraded to where there's no social, before you even get to the government aspects of legal marriage, there's no more scarlet letter, there's no more shunning for you, whatever. That's a fall in the moral fabric of society.
There's no more family.
There's no more families in a large sense, but that's all due to the degradation and breakdown on a societal level.
So where does that
leave? That's not an indictment on marriage. These other things need to be strengthened, and if they're re-strengthened, then marriage will be re-strengthened. But that's not an indictment of marriage. That's an indictment of the moral fabric of the times in which we find ourselves.
But that's not the question. The question is marriage still necessary in 2026 to do what? To do what? What does marriage? What system does it? Okay.
So marriage is still a system and structure. No matter what your personal views are from a legal aspect, there are legal protections that you have as husband and wife that you will not just have as boyfriend and girlfriend.
True.
If you're just the long-term boyfriend or the long-term girlfriend, and he gets hit hit by a truck and he's in the hospital, you can't come up there talking about, well, I've been with him for 13 years and blah, blah, blah. I want you to know somebody else is going to get to make that decision. So from a legal standpoint, there are rights that you get legally recognized through being married. That's one. Two,
but you can have a living will. You can have
people don't do that though. Not in mass. People don't do that in mass.
But you can though. So that's why we're talking about necessary. Is it necessary? Right? Mm-hmm. Is it necessary? Because if you looked at marriage 50 years ago, and I was a stay-at-home mom, and you were my husband, and you went to work at Ford Motor Company for 50 years or 30 years, 40 years, you would get a pension. And then if you passed away, that pension would then come to me as his wife for some extended period of time.
That's another protection of marriage.
Right. But that's not, nobody does that anymore. They don't even have pensions anymore. So the
It's more rare.
society has
Mhm.
changed and evolved. Has the need for marriage kept up with that? And to get married today, does it still serve the same purpose? And can I not still do the same thing with someone without being married?
No, you cannot. And here's the other thing that it does. The best environment to raise children is still in a marriage.
How
nuclear
so?
family. Because I believe that children should be planned for ahead of time and wanted by both parties.
That's very idealistic.
Within a marriage.
Most children are born out of wedlock today.
That is a problem because most people are taking this idea like that you're pushing that marriage is not important. That's false. Marriage.
I don't think that's why we have so many. Is that why you think we have so many children born out of wedlock? Is that because people think that marriage
are not having marriage?
It's from poor planning.
It's certainly from poor planning.
You don't think it's just from promiscuity and lack of?
It's from
you can be promiscuous and still use condoms. You can be promiscuous and still use condoms.
I gotta give you. I'll give you that
IUD, get a vasectomy. You can still do all of those things and not bear children. So poor planning.
She's right. I'll give you that one.
It's not only poor planning. It's the mindset. If you have a mindset that marriage is not important, then you may have a mindset where it doesn't matter when you have children because you're not going to be married anyway. So there's no differentiation. This is a dangerous ideology, in my opinion, that people push when they try to downplay the importance of marriage, because marriage is what upholds families. And people, this is unpopular opinion, but children don't create families. Marriages create families. And it's been that way since the times of old. It was marriages that brought together families. It wasn't just the act of having children. It was marriages that were recognized. In days of old, children weren't even recognized.
Okay.
It was only marriage that was recognized. And if your child was not a byproduct of marriage, your child wasn't even legitimate.
Right. They were illegitimate.
This idea, this sentiment that marriage, which is a choice and it is a joining together, even take away the spirituality of it, it's a joining together to create a family. Even if you want to take whatever, because I'm not even coming at it from a religious aspect, because you don't have to be religious to enjoy marriage. But you do need to understand that marriage, in my opinion, is the moral fabric that builds a society. Without any type of religious underpinnings or anything, that is still, I believe, the reality and holds true today.
Okay. Heard. However, that said, would you not agree that not only is the face of a family changing, right, but also the face of the people to
get married.
Thank you. Because see, now what you find is, if you look at historically, just say in the last century, so we'll stay there. We're not going to go back to, and we'll stay in America.
Let's just do the last 50 years in America.
We'll stay in America. Okay.
Last 50 years.
All right. So 50 years ago, it was a woman marrying a man. And that was the only way to get married. That was the only way your marriage was recognized. So we're not even gonna put sexuality into it, and so we'll leave that out.
Genders and all that.
Okay.
But what we're seeing more increasingly is, especially like from the African American diaspora, we are seeing so many of eligible men who are incarcerated. We're seeing so many eligible. The rest, it feels almost like the rest of the eligible.
Wait a minute.
That.
Are you saying, you said we're seeing less? Did you say we're seeing less eligible men for marriage? Is that what you said?
I haven't gotten there, but that's where I'm headed. I'm saying that so many Black African American men are incarcerated. They're a smaller percentage of the men incarcerated, but by and large, from the ratio of our population. We're disparately.
It's not
more incarcerated.
Absolutely not. Oh yes, we are disparately more incarcerated. But it's not so many African Americans that are incarcerated that there's no more eligible men today. That's
I didn't say that there's no more eligible. I didn't say there's no more eligible.
It has no impact.
But
I'm saying it has no impact on the amount of eligible men.
I totally disagree. I totally disagree with that.
There's no
but
impact.
Then
it's
also,
less than 1% of the men.
But also, in addition to that, you have the change in, and I may want to say the change, because I feel like the number of homosexual men is probably about the same. I don't know. People seem to think that when you say things are legally okay or from a law perspective okay, that makes people do more. I don't think so. I think people were doing what they were doing.
Right.
So now that it's so open, right, you can openly see so many men, and especially here in Atlanta, unavailable to be married because they have a different sexual preference and they're just open to be with that preference instead of having a wife and stepping out and doing their thing in the dark. Then they're just, that.
Oh,
So that drops down.
Okay, so from that standpoint, what I think you're saying is there are more men who are willing to be open,
Right, and so
that
they're
less likely to marry women.
Right, so that's another slice
Okay.
of men gone, and then you have
But women also,
you
too.
have you have men who are haven't even gone to the other side. They haven't been locked up, but they're just not interested anymore because a lot of women they feel like they cost too much or they want too much or and they're finding that I don't even want to deal with that,
Right.
because you got the Me Too movement.
I gotta step
It's like
in.
the
I gotta
number
step in
of
and cut. I
available
gotta
men.
step in and cut this off
All right.
because this is a falsehood that's perpetuated way too much.
Okay.
And I just looked it up because I already knew, but I just looked up the thing. There's only at any given time about 2% of the black population that's incarcerated, and it's estimated that 2% of the black population, 2% of
I need
black
to-
American
let me look
population are
that up
incarcerated.
myself.
What is
I
the total
know.
percentage of African Americans in this country?
Hold on. 2% to be LGBT community.
Look, put
So
your
now-
thoughts in the comments.
Yeah, put your thoughts in. Hold on. So if we even just be generous and we say 5%, just to round up, which we really shouldn't. We really should round down. But just to be generous and give you this ridiculous, that's only 5. That's 95% of men are eligible, and that does not. And then you have to offset that by the women who are also LGBT.
Correct.
And incarcerated. So it cancels out. It is this myth. Hold on. This myth that black men are either gay or in jail it's untrue. I can't let it stand.
Okay, so let me ask you this: what is the total percentage of African Americans in this country? Because my understanding, the last time I looked it up, it was at 13 or 14% of
Well,
this country.
it says here
So if
13% of yeah.
So the 2% of the incarcerated men.
That's not math. That's not the right math.
That's not the right. Okay.
No, he's saying 2% of African American men
2% of
are incarcerated.
So what's the 2% of? I'm trying to figure out where are you pulling this 2%. What is the total pool? Is it just African American?
of black men in America.
Okay, so why
So
can't
you're
I pull that
13%
percentage
of-
13%?
Because
the total amount.
black people, men
Yes.
and women, are
Yes.
13% of the
Yes.
country.
So 2% of black people.
That's not what that's saying.
Okay, then what's the percentage of black men in this country? Can you look
What's
that
the
up?
percentage
Yeah.
of black men
Mhm.
in the country?
It says
You can look it up, but that's not applicable to the argument that you're trying to make.
Why not? If 2% of African American men
Mm-hmm.
out of the African American population in this country
Mm-hmm.
is incarcerated or queer,
Mm-hmm.
how is that not pulling from the total percentage of African American
it
men?
is, no matter how
That
you
doesn't
slice
make any
it.
sense to me. Now I could be doing my math wrong, but I'm asking to.
Even if it's minuscule, it's impacting
Even
it.
if
So there's
it's
no way to
impactful,
not
we're
say
seeing the
to say
effects.
that it's not impacting.
Because we're not the majority in this country, so every little thing is a huge impact.
Then you have though another slice is gone because you have a segment of, and this is just, we could do the same thing on the women's side. So
Yes.
we're not
Right,
by
no,
any.
no.
We just happen to be black, so that's why we're talking about this.
Yeah.
So we're not. So you still have a certain number of African American men who date outside of the race. So add that percent in there too.
That's also true.
Oh, he's trying to fact gather.
Because y'all are using these percentages incorrectly. So now I'm about to tell you. No, I'm about to tell you.
Information you gave me.
So I'm about to tell you. According to ChatGPT, there's about 19.5 million black people
Black people
black men in America.
in 19 million. That's it.
According to ChatGPT.
That's low to me.
So if we
I
just
thought
say
it
the
was more than
19.5,
that. But okay.
okay, and we just minus the 2% for incarcerated and 2% for LGBT, and we just minus 4%, that's still 18,720,000 left. All right. So that only
And how many of them are married?
Huh?
How many of them are already married?
We'd have to look it up, but it would be offset.
So I'm saying
No.
every
My point is
slice-
this. My point is this. No. My point is this. There's this lie that's perpetuated on social media endlessly that there's no good black men left because they're either gay or in jail is false.
I don't think
It's a
there's
minuscule.
No, I never said there no.
Or
good
that it
men.
meaning
I would
it's
never
not
say
it's
that.
not even meaningfully impacted by
Yes,
the
it
amount
is.
because it's offset by the women who are those things as well. It's a small negligible amount. And it's not even statistically relevant to this conversation.
Okay, well, let's get back to the conversation then. Let's get back to the conversation, which is it necessary? So still based on these statistics, and if you look at the statistics of the number of single women from age 25 to say 55 or 65, let's just say that the disparate number of women who are single and unable to find a meaningful partner.
Well, let's talk about why that is. Let's talk about why these women are single and unable to find a partner.
Without offending all the women in the world, please.
So no, I'm gonna say what I'm saying, and people can leave how they feel about it in the comments. So here we go. It is my position that women are unmarried because they do not submit themselves to a system and structure that facilitates the outcome of marriage.
How did I not know that?
I'm going to say that one more time. Listen, I'm going to say this one more time. The women who are unmarried that desire to be, because if you don't desire to be married as a woman, we take them off the table because they don't desire. If you desire to be married and you're unmarried, it's because you do not submit yourself to a system and structure that facilitates the outcome of marriage. Now, what does that mean?
What does that mean?
Everybody is out here today. It used to be baked into the system, right? Your society pushed you to get married. So everybody around you, your family, everybody was married mostly. Your community pushed you to get married mostly. Mm-hmm. So you were pushed into marriage, but there was a system and structure in place, but it was invisible because it just was baked into the cake, so to speak. Mm-hmm. Now that it's no longer baked into the cake because society has devolved, if you will, to a point where whatever you want now, on a familial level, you have to create it for yourself. It can still be done, but it's not automatic anymore. So now that it's not automatic anymore, you have to devise your own system and structure in order to get that outcome. No different from anything else. If you woke up and said, I want to be a nurse, you don't just wake up and say, okay, I'm going to go be a nurse. No, that's a system and structure in place for you to get that outcome. Marriage is no different. But people look at marriage, too many women look at marriage as if it's just supposed to happen because you joined a dating app or something. That's not how that works. And you find out along the way that I have no system and structure in place to obtain this outcome. And because of that, they suffer. That's the reality.
I can tell you what happened.
That's 100%.
Let me give you another perspective. This is what happened. When you would get married, we talking about in the last 50 years, okay? People before the invention of dating apps, before the invention of the party line, I think that was the first thing of dating, having access to people where you'd be on the phone and it'd be all these people. Before all of that, in order to get married, you would typically, and I'm not saying every single time, but the social norm was that you dated most likely your high school sweetheart and married them. You dated the people in your current pool of resources, which would be within your town. You dated somebody from the opposing school.
Yes.
You were the Bears, they were the Lions, and you met him. You was a cheerleader, he was on the football team.
That was the system and structure.
Or you met the guy next door, and he knew your mom, and whatever. You met, and people married within their social pool, and that was to continue to perpetuate the life and the style of that time, whatever it was,
we agree. I agree. I say that as well. We agree with that. You were supposed to find your mate within your community.
Within your community, right? And these were the same people that you all went to church together.
Yes.
And you all,
you knew their family.
Everybody knew each other's family.
Yes.
You could cheat, but everybody knew you had the wife over there on the other side of town, or a woman, and you had a sister over there. Everybody knew this stuff, and everybody knew not to say nothing. It was all very, to your point, socially
reinforced and within your community,
written and unwritten rules that everybody operated within this framework.
That's a system and structure.
And I totally agree that that's how it was, but it is no longer that way. And getting back to the original question is marriage still necessary? So since we don't operate, and we decided we're only going to stay in the last 50 years and we're going to stay in America. Mm-hmm. Since none of the stuff it's faded away. Still the same.
It's faded away.
Still the same. And well, there's a small. If you go to maybe small pockets, towns,
Yeah.
you may still see some fragments
It's
of that.
largely eroded away. Yes.
Yeah, because
It's
most of
largely
them even
eroded
know
away.
they can leave small town USA and go to Atlanta or to San Francisco or to LA or
Yeah.
New York. So they know they have the flexibility to move around. So even if they decide to stay, that's a choice. Even the Amish people have phones and cars, and like they're not even the same anymore. And they were supposed to just totally, reject all things technology.
Times are
Even they
changing.
got stores. So
Times are changing.
getting back to the question is that old framework of marriage. And like I said, I'm not against marriage by any means, but my mind has opened to the idea or the possibility that it's outdated.
Here's why this is so dangerous, what you're doing, right? Because you're speaking from a privileged standpoint. One, you're married and been married for over 10 years.
We've already established that
So
Covers has been married 3 times.
What you're speaking from and why it's so dangerous is because you're speaking to, I'm thinking about not the woman who's already gained her wisdom through life and is also married currently, who can look at this thing from a more nuanced perspective and ask it as a philosophical question for philosophical purposes and understand the nuances therein.
Why?
I'm thinking about. I'm thinking about
objective.
No, I'm thinking about the 20 to 25-year-old girl who's going to be listening to this, saying, "Oh, so marriage isn't important," and she's going to conduct herself in a manner in which marriage isn't important because I heard this conversation where everything's new now. Why does and she's going to find out too late that that's false, because it is false. But she's going to find out too late, and but after too much damage has been done, that no, this marriage is in fact very much still important, even though things are changing and the way like I said, marriage can look differently. The way marriage look, the rules may be a little bit different, or the way it looks may be different depending upon your personal viewpoints and cultural norms and blah, blah, whatever. But marriage is still very much important. And women who take that position that is not important and conduct themselves in a manner in which is not, I think they're going to come to regret that later on in life.
Okay, so here's where I disagree, because that is a total bastardization of what I was saying in my point of view, because I have not ever said that marriage is not important.
Well,
and I've never said that. Right. And I don't think it's necessary. And the reason why I say it's not necessary, because you have women who are not married, who are successful, who have families, who have businesses, who do things. To say that marriage is necessary is to say that you cannot be okay unless you are married, which is a construct that was
was the case before, yeah.
So now you're being made to feel less than
y'all are making this
if you're
this
not
confusion.
married, and I don't agree with that.
Y'all are making this. Y'all are confusing this.
You can be successful. You can be worthy.
Society
you can be okay,
is built on
you
marriage.
You can be fine. You can be a mom. You can be whatever you want to be without being married. I am married, so I'm not. That's not.
Society is built on marriage. Society is built on marriage. Let's get this understood. Society is built on marriage.
That's a fallacy, because 50% of these marriages don't even last.
World that doesn't take away from the point. This world is built on marriage. If it were not for the cooperation of marriages, which, like I said, people form marriages, marriages form families. Listen, people form marriages, marriages form families, families form communities, and communities form societies. If it were not for marriage, which is the cornerstone of all of this, we would not be where we are today. What we're speaking from today is this position of privilege that, quite frankly, really only works if the society is at a certain level and there's a certain type of economic privilege that you can speak from. Society is not set up for single people. Economically, it does not work. Society is set up in the world therein for people to be in family. That is a fact. That is an economic
fact. That can't be the fact, because there are too many broken families. There are too many unwed mothers. There are too many.
That doesn't change the fact.
That it's too.
That's like saying the hospital is full of people with bullet holes in them. People are supposed to be shot. That's just because you can point to a large problem does not mean that is how it's supposed to be.
So how about this statistic? If half of the marriages fail, that means half of the people are not married. So we can be fine and not be married. If at any given moment, half of us are married and half of us are not. How is you're saying that the half that's married are the only ones who matter and contribute meaningfully and hold our society together?
I did not say that. I did not say that. I said society in general is built upon marriage, and it is.
Right, and it's only half of us that are married.
Today, that's not how it was always. We're coming to a point where today that's the case, and you also see all the other issues.
I agree with that.
Hold on. You also see all the issues and problems that causes because of the destruction of families, because of the breakdowns of these communities, because of these things being eroded away. And that's why we see that today there's an uptick in all these negative things, that family, and now people want the government to do things that originally family was meant to do. Family was meant to insulate you. Family was meant to be there for you. Family was meant to serve these things. And it's always been that way, but we live in a time now where that's being eroded away and slowly changing.
No.
But I don't think that that's because that's right.
No, because that is a false sense of security to think that because you're married and in a family and in a, sanctioned married paper marriage, that somehow insulates you from the issues and problems that people have. So if you look at children that don't have a father in the home, and they're more likely to this, that. Well, even in the sanctity of marriage, there were so many things that went on. There was abuse that went on. There was sexual. There was essays going on. There was all kinds of things.
This is like the color purpling of marriage. No, because nobody's saying that. No. You're doing the color purpling of marriage like, oh, there's a boogeyman even if you're... Nobody's saying that being marriage fixes every problem under the sun. You're still dealing with people. But that does not take away from the covering and the protection that marriage grants people. And I can appreciate the intellectual, argument, disagreement that we're having with, but there are people who do not understand the nuances of this, who will hear this message from your side and take that and run a direction, and it will ultimately destroy them. Because ultimately, and especially for women,
destroy them. To have a thought process that's different.
No, not to have a thought process
from that ideology. There's no other way to exist and be without being destroyed is to be married.
No. This is dangerous rhetoric, and it is in my opinion, marriage is definitely still necessary, and it is the best path for women to take, and to not be just single forever.
Or men as well.
For men as well, you need both.
No,
for
he said men. He said
no. You mean both for society?
Because earlier you said that marriage is a system and structure that women need to subscribe to, but not men.
No, I said that women who desire to be married that are unmarried are not married because they do not submit themselves to a system and structure that facilitates the outcome of marriage.
Okay, so say there's a young woman who wants to be married. She submits herself to that system. Where will she find her partner if he does not submit himself to that same structure?
All right, so this is where my ideology comes in. So this is where my ideology comes in. I'm going to answer your question, but let me also point out, you said for just women or for men. Women do not have as much time as men to figure out the marriage thing. That's just the reality. Okay. Because generally speaking, and what men and women want from one another, men gain more of it with time, women lose more of it with time. Just generally, that speaks to the dating market. That's a real thing, whether people want to accept it or not. Mm-hmm. All right. So a man turning 45, like, I want to decide to get married with her. It's not the same thing as a woman turning 45 to saying, okay, I want to hurry up and get married and start a family. Those are two different things. If you make their income equal, their health equal, whatever, we even said they're both attractive, it's going to be a different outcome for that man who's attractive and successful and in good health at 45 than for that woman. This is just this is just the game. So go ahead.
Oh, so where is this 25-year-old woman supposed to meet her partner?
Okay, so
is she supposed to find this 45-year-old man who's ready to get married now? Is that what it is?
Now, this is where the system and structure comes in. This is going to depend upon. This is going to depend upon what they believe, right? And when I say what they believe is, I'm saying not all marriages are the same, right? So if you look at someone from different religious backgrounds, their marriage may look different, but they're still married. So when I say that woman has to be submitted to a system and structure that facilitates the outcome of marriage, it's whatever system and structure she's beholden to. Just like, say, to use an example, if you're religious, right? Let's use the umbrella of Christianity because I think most people can relate to it or understand it. If you're Catholic, what it looks like for you to go to church is going to be different than a Baptist. Okay. It's going to be different from a Pentecostal. It's going to be different from Kojic. Right? Mm-hmm. If you're Kojic, it's going to look different than if you're Mormon. But all of those have their own system and structure, right? All of them have their own system and structure. So it's not the absence. So it's not what system and structure does she need to choose. She needs to choose one, and she needs to choose the one that she's going to be obedient to and follow so that she can get the Now, when I say don't get lost in the word obedient. Because any system and structure, it calls for you have to do it. All that means is you have to do it for it to work. Okay. So it's not what religion, what Christian you want to be. Do you want to be Catholic or Mormon or Baptist or whatever? Because they're all going to call for you to do different things. But you need to be subscribed to one of them if you want to be under this religious umbrella. Same thing for marriage. So whatever rules that she wants to follow for marriage, right, whatever system and structure to get her married, because there's plenty of them out there. You can go to a church. Most churches have single ministries. Are you going to go be obedient to what they tell you to do and live the lifestyle they want you to live in order to get that outcome? That's what I'm saying. So if you're not beholden to anything, you're just out here doing whatever you want to do, and you're listening to, whoever the popular, whoever is on the radio, whoever the doctor of the day is, to get your outcome, then you're likely not going to get an outcome because that's not how these things work. But y'all have been deceived into thinking that it is. And then they suffer for it on the back end.
So where are we? Where are these eligible men? Like, I'm still.
That's a good question.
I'm still hung up on that because if I'm eligible when I'm 25 in the dating market, I want to be married. Okay. I want children. I want a family. Okay. My counterparts, my 25, 26, 28, up to 25 to 38 to 30. I'm sorry, year old men don't want marriage right now. Okay. Right now, they trying to get a bag. They trying to build up their resume and all of this other stuff. And blah 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 blah. Okay. And so they're focused on their business. Mm-hmm. They don't want a marriage. They just want a girlfriend, a little plaything here and there. Okay. When and where? Well, not necessarily where, but when am I supposed to find
where to?
Where am I supposed to find my husband?
So this one's real easy, right? So if you are beholden to a system and structure that's facilitating your outcome, you're going to go to your system structure. It's going to tell you, right, where and how you're meeting these men, but it's also going to give you the criteria for meeting these men. So the men that you describe that have all this success or look a certain way or do whatever or don't whatever, your filtering process is going to filter them out. You know who you're going to be left with? The men that are eligible for your system and structure for you, that are eligible for you to marry. You know what a lot of women find when they are beholden to something? A lot of women find that the type of person that they should marry or whatever, they don't want that type of person for marriage. So it's not that there are no men that want to be married or marriage minded. Okay. They may not be attracted to that type of person. And to the recoverer's point, it used to be in some situations in arranged marriages, you didn't even know who you were married to. You popped up on the wedding day. It was no you pick and bake because people understood that's not what sustains a marriage. So like I said, it was baked in the past, the system and structure, so much so that you didn't have a choice. What you find is when you give people choice, most people choose poorly. And that's just the reality of people across the board. When given free choice, most people choose poorly. And that's just a human thing across the board. So what women do today is they'll make this thing, well, you're looking past men because they're not suitable because you don't desire them. It doesn't mean they're not suitable for marriage, but you don't desire them for marriage.
Of the
they don't fit it.
Idea of
right. And it was never supposed to be a romantic. And if you had a system and structure, your system and structure will call for things like character. They will call for things like planning. They will call for things like vision. But what it's not going to call for is you being over 6 foot tall. What it's not going to call for is you making a specific dollar amount at a certain time. It's not going to call for those things that social media has made popular. And that's where women destroy themselves. They don't want the men that would be with them.
Stop saying these women are destroying themselves.
And I think they're asking about women specifically. And again, the rules are different slightly for men than it is women because men have more time to figure it out.
Agreed.
And that's just the reality.
But then I think all the things that you just said further submit my point that the whatever the original intent was, and then we stand within the last 50 years, whatever the original intent was for marriage, it has degraded to a degree that it's almost just paper now, because people are already doing a prenuptial agreement. Like, you're already going into the marriage with your way out already. So is it necessary? I don't think so. And I, again, to your point, I am married. I've been married multiple times, and I don't see where marriage helped or hindered my personal success. I don't. Now, could my life have gone a different way had I been married to somebody different? Absolutely, because just by nature it would have. But have I been diminished as a person? Destroyed? No.
Now listen, this is
not been destroyed.
This is what I mean by the whole destroyed thing. Women, and again, this is only to women who want to be married, because now more than ever, there's a large contingency of women who do not want to be married. Mm-hmm. And if you don't want something, then it doesn't apply to you at all. But for the women who do want to be married, I urge you to submit yourself to a system and structure that facilitates the outcome of marriage, because that's truly the only way to be successful. It does not.
Right.
Just in the same way, and women understand system and structure, because when I remember in college, there were women who wanted to join the nursing program, and they couldn't get in at our school, and they applied to other schools just to have a better chance to try to get into a nursing program. So you absolutely understand a system and structure and having to follow it to get a desired outcome. But today, marriage has been framed in such a way that it's unimportant and it's not worth working for or attaining like something like a degree. And if you have that mindset, I think you're going to be and I would argue that marriage, or who you marry, is arguably one of the most important decisions that you'll ever make, because it's going to be the person that you're creating a family with, creating life with, ideally. So I would argue that that's the most important decision one makes.
Order. I think we could go on about this all night, but I think this is a really great place for us to sum it up, because on your last point, we absolutely agree, because this is the principle of what the recoverist stands for. Even though I have evolved to a place where I do not believe that marriage is necessary. You do not have to be married in order to be okay, to be whole. It's too many women who feel less than and think less of themselves because I'm 35 and nobody's married me yet. And they feel like that's some, denigration of who she is as a woman. I don't have kids yet, so I'm less than a woman. I'm not a woman. That I don't agree with that. I think we've been brainwashed to think that. But I do think, and so I think in saying that, to be clear, I think that women have a choice. If you want to be married, I do agree with what you're saying, Jay, that if you do want to get married, you have to, whether you're male or female, you have to find a partner with whom you can agree on those things that are important to your relationship and to the future that you want to have. If you can find a person, because if you boil it all the way down back to 100 years ago, it was an agreement that was written down on paper. And that's the part we've gotten away from, because we have idealized and romanticized all these ideas, and we expect people to be things and to fit these fantasies and ideas that they can never, ever live up to. And not only that, when they don't live up to them, we demand that they live up to it, whether they have the ability to do that or not. So we're constantly disappointed time and time and time again. So I think we have to get back to the basics, get clear about who we are as a man or woman, what we need at this point in time in a partner to share life. Find the person who shares like values, and then find a way to agree on the expectations of what that relationship should be. And if that should end in marriage, and that's the path that you both feel is the place you want to end up, then happy wedding bells to you. Here comes the bride. But if not, I think it's okay to have long-term relationships that don't end in contract. And I also think it's equally okay to be single if that's the life that you choose. If you don't want to commit to one person, I don't think you have to. So I don't think there's
who's willing to willing for you to be non-committal to them.
And believe it or not, there are.
You gotta
And I
find your
actually know
village.
people
Oh, yeah.
who know that the person is never going to be with them, but they take the little bit that person is willing to give. But again, that's a choice.
Yeah.
They agreed to it. As long as you can get agreement and alignment, you're in a relationship.
Yeah.
And we'll end it there. And I'll tell you this, that when it comes to relationship, the most important verdict is what? Healing. That's it. It's you. What do you need to heal and be whole as a person? You know, you have to keep learning, you have to keep growing, and never settle for less than the love that you know that you deserve. That's what I always say. So I'm the recoverist. This has been Love on Trial. Put your verdict in the comments. We're waiting to hear from you. But this case is dismissed.
Be sure to hit the like, comment, share, and subscribe button and leave your verdict in the comments below. We want to hear from you. And make sure you follow us online on Instagram at Love on Trial ATL for special behind-the-scenes footage and special updates.
Do you need to put your love on trial? If you want to be a guest couple on the show or share your story, please send us an email at loveontrialcasting@gmail.com. Until next time, keep asking the hard questions, keep growing, and remember, every great relationship deserves a fair trial. See you next week.